This is really cool. Check this out. Bam. Look at that. Look at the wolf. Just chilling. These guys chilling too. I just turned on the lights, so they're kind of not at ease right now, but they'll be alright. Catfish right there chilling, man. I'm gonna give you guys updates. Full updates. Look at these guys. Little baby fish. Oh, I actually didn't even show you guys any updates on these fish yet, but we'll go ahead and run the intro first and get started on today's video.
Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now. I get paid, fake game, staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign.
First off, check out this chair and carpet setup though. This carpet is from IKEA. It was like 50 bucks or 60 bucks or whatever. I don't have to wear my shoes up in here. And then this chair though, it's called Poang. I guess it's a special type of model. And this chair is so popular that it even has Reddit posts. So yeah, this chair is pretty tight. So this is my little lounge kick it area. Let me go ahead and give you guys a back view. Yeah, it's looking like this right now. But first thing I'm gonna give you guys updates on is the Bichirs. As you can see, they've calmed down a little bit. So I went ahead and moved them into the tank that we ended up repairing. Those are the corners right there. That's the one with the weld on 4 and 16, and there's one right there. But you know, sitting back from here, you don't really notice. So these guys are living in a 4x2x2. They used to live in this tank, which is a 5x18. It might look like it's bigger, but in reality, this tank is actually way more spacious compared to this tank. Let me give you a side view of it real quick. Look at that. Super wide. This Enley used to, you know, it used to be really cramped in here, or when it was over there. But now when it's laying down like this, you can see it has a lot of room to kind of turn and stuff, which is pretty nice. But in this tank, I think this is gonna be the final livestock that I'm gonna keep in here, because if I add any more, it's gonna be pretty bad. I went ahead and added in the substrate, and then also added in these smaller pieces of driftwood. Before I had this large piece of driftwood, but now that I kind of have more room at the bottom, I wanted to add these smaller pieces of wood because one, they're really light, so if the Bichir smash into it, the wood moves and it won't damage their like snouts and all that stuff. And then two, this guy right here likes to redecorate these pieces of woods. Like it'll pick it up and it'll move it. So initially I had all the woods here on this side because they were floating around the top, waiting to get waterlogged. They ended up being here, and then they ended up sinking here. That's when this guy came along and then pushed all the pieces of wood, and it pretty much decorated this whole thing. So they ended up liking all the wood in the middle for some reason, and this is pretty much how it is. And I think it doesn't look that bad. I actually have some more wood coming in today, and we're going to be putting it in the aquarium later. It's not going to sink as fast because it's going to be waterlogged. I'll show you guys later, but I like these smaller pieces of driftwoods in this tank, and I still have to finish adding in the garnet. The rest of the garnet, it's right there. Also, I went ahead and put the pothos in here. This is the pothos that I was growing on top of the aquarium at first at the other house. I went ahead and just left it in the tank. Some leaves are falling off here and there, but it's starting to grow its water roots. And then new leaves are growing right here. So you know how it's growing right here, super compact. And then here is a little bit more spaced out. These leaves were grown aerobically, and then these leaves are grown in the water, so that's why they're a little bit more tight, and the leaves aren't as big compared to those. But yeah, that's the plant that I have up top. Getting to the Bichirs though, as you can see, one of the wild caught or early captive bred laps right here, looking really good. And then the other lap is right there. These guys, their color has not came back all 100%. Unlike the Enleys, which don't really change color too much, these guys right here, they change color based off of their environment. So when I first added in these two right here to this tank, there was no substrate, so no garnet. It was just, you know, the bare stuff back there. So it got super pale. And then recently I added in the garnet, and then now its colors are coming back, which is awesome. So eventually, I think maybe like a week or two, its colors will be 100% back. I just got to finish adding in the rest of that substrate. But as you can see, they're just chilling. They're finally eating. Oh, gained some some aggression, but this geo doesn't really do that much damage. So they're finally eating. I think they were stressed with the whole drilling and all the noise that's newly added to the system. And yeah, they finally calmed down. As you can see, they're just kind of chilling in the front of the tank. If they were scared or skittish or something, when this light goes on, they'll be like going back there, like going crazy, but you know, they're just kind of chilling. And you can also tell by their finlets. Bichirs, when they're like alert, their finlets are really, really high. Like they'll be like this right here. But as you can see, these guys are just chilling right now. So yeah, those are my guys right here. My two big Enleys like to chill with each other. This is the aggressor when they were at the other tank, but as of right now, it got super chill, so I'm pretty happy about that. I want to get more of these geos. These are the Geophagus Savinis. I had two. They were pretty expensive back then. I bought each of them for 50 bucks, and then this one killed the other one, so I was pretty heartbroken. The reason why I like this geo though is because it sifts like the sand. As you can see, it just kind of picks through. These ones right here aren't the cleanest eaters. They're pretty messy, and when they eat pellets and all that stuff, little chunks fall out and they go into the substrate. That's where this one kind of comes in and kind of cleans up behind them. So it's kind of like my Bichir's keepers. Like I said, it cleans up after them, looks after them. It's a little bit aggressive, but this guy doesn't really have teeth and can't really do that much damage to these Bichirs. So yeah, I don't mind the aggression that comes from this little guy, because these ones are pretty much like tanks and they can take the abuse that comes from this one right here. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this setup. Let's go ahead and move on to this setup. All right, so you might be wondering why I have only 3 fish in here, and that's because I feel like it made sense. So the CB Laps, which is this one right here and this one right here, I grew them ever since they were very, very small, and it looks like they've stopped growing. So I've had this one and this one for very, very long, and the growth just completely stopped. I think that's because of poor genetics and poor bloodline when it comes to being captive bred. As you can see, its snout is kind of pushed in, and this is the reason why a lot of people, when they ask what's the minimum size tank for a lap, I can't really answer that depending on the specimen that you have. Like for example, this one right here, I think it only probably has about 1 more inch left, and this one right here, I'm pretty sure it's not going to grow any bigger than that. Compared to these 2 laps, which I know for a fact will get pretty big, these ones will not need such a big tank compared to these ones right here. So it really depends how many generations of captive breeding your specific lap has been through, but this is the reason why these 2 are in here, because they're definitely not going to exceed 18 inches. That's for sure. And I don't want to sell them because I grew them ever since they were really small. So that's why they're just kind of chilling in this huge tank. This is the wolf that was in the 40 gallon. Went ahead and moved him in this tank. And he's just kind of chilling. He's pretty much taken over this piece of wood. And only one problem though, he ended up getting this white dot on his forehead. I was asking my friends and they were saying that this is probably from stress, from being moved from the first location through the car ride all the way here to live in this 40 gallon, which is pretty small. It was living in these shrubs right here, eventually taking him out and then brought to this huge tank, which it's probably never lived in, because when I first got this guy, it was living in a 6 by 10 inch box at a fish store. So I'm pretty sure this one has not lived in a tank this big, and yeah, it totally stressed him out. But yeah, for now, these guys are just going to be the only fish that's in this tank. 1 erythromys wolf and then 2 captive bred laps. This one does show a little bit of aggression towards these laps, but it's just kind of like showing off. It doesn't really do damage or bite my other fish. Check it out. Its tail is perfect. No damage, nothing. And also for this one right here, no damage at all. So if there actually was damage, the tails would be one of the first pieces to go. Just like how this one, I bought it like this, but it'll probably have something like this. But yeah, it's just kind of showing them who's boss, but doesn't really attack them, so I think it's pretty chill. As for the stocking of this tank, I'm actually not too sure what I'm gonna put in this aquarium yet. I'm just gonna kind of keep it as is for now until we figure out the final fish stockings and stuff. this wolf right here is going to be the boss hog of this tank. I was thinking about adding some more Kerrisons, maybe some old school, you know, freshwater barracudas or some Pyara scombs or something like that. But as of right now, I'm just trying to finalize the fish room and the filtration setup and all that. So I think as of right now, they're pretty good. And the reason why I don't really like this tank for the other guys right there, as you can see, it's like a tall. It's like a 100 or 120 tall, and it's just not wide enough. And then over here, you can really see the difference. Like, this is really nice. This width, if I had this width at that length, that would be perfect. Anyways, let's go ahead and go over the filtration system. So this is what is it, like a 30 or 40 gallon brute trash can. It's not drilled or anything, but I have 2 water pumps that pump water into this tank. Gets pushed out right here, and then the bulkhead's right there. And then I have another water pump that pushes water up and in here. I don't know if you can see that. And then these 2 tanks are literally being filled by this K1 monstrosity. But you can see that there's a lot of spacing in between the K1 over here. And I still have new K1 kind of cycling right here. That's why they're kind of floating. But you can tell I need a little bit more K1 in this system for it to be a little bit more efficient. But that'll come later on down the road. As of right now though, it's doing okay. I just need to fill this tank up a little bit more. This is a really simple filtration setup. I've done this before with a 55 gallon, but now I'm doing it with 200 something gallons, and yeah, man, it's really effective. This is a really cheap way for you to provide a huge filtration system for your bigger tanks. Honestly, if I had a 200 gallon, 300 gallon, I would just get 2 of these things, fill it up with K1 just like this, and then yeah, man, that'll just get the ball rolling right there. Everyone always asks me what these things are. If you're new to the channel and see these like pasta looking things, this is my filtration system. This thing pretty much holds beneficial bacteria that makes bad things like ammonia converted into not so bad things, and then, you know, all that scientific stuff. But all you gotta know is this is the stuff that filters my water. And if you really want to know the specs, these pipes is 1.5 inch diameter. The bulkheads on here are from Lifeguard Aquatics. I got one from Amazon, and then I got the other one from a local fish store at my old location, which is Neptune Aquatics over in San Jose. And yeah, have them plumbed up just like this. There's no support on these pipes. Initially I was gonna make supports because I thought the pipes were gonna be a little bit heavy, but I'm dealing with a little bit thicker acrylic, and I'm pretty sure this bulkhead will hold the weight of this pipe. It's not too long, it just kind of ends right there. Also this one too. I was gonna make braces and stuff, but I feel like that'll just get a little bit more complicated. But as of right now, they're doing pretty good. If I have to kind of change it up later, then I'll go ahead and do so. But these pieces are cemented together, so should be all right. So the stands are the standard cinder block stands with the 2x10 that goes all the way across, and then some plywood here and there. And the reason why I don't have like a post in the middle like I normally do is because this floor is super uneven. As you can see, look at that. I have an extra piece of plywood here, right? Come over here. I don't have that here, and I have shims that kind of keep it leveled and all that stuff, because this whole tank, this side goes down a little bit, so I had to shim the hell out of that part right there. This specific setup right here took the longest to set up out of all the tanks in here. Here was okay. I was able to put a couple pieces of plywood and not too many shims, but literally this one right here had that. It has this huge stack of wood here, huge here, all these shims here, that, all the shims at the bottom. So yeah, this one was definitely a huge headache. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the 2 bigger setups. Let's go ahead and move on to the rack. I'll go ahead and cover the rack along with the Monte Carlo project, if you guys remember, was at the other house, because there's a lot of interesting things that's happening inside that tank. The 40-gallon breeder that used to hold the wolf, I went ahead and saved as much of the plants as I can. And then also I have little fish in here that was from the Monte Carlo project. Yeah, I try to save all the fish and all the plants and also all of the shrimp. I had a huge cherry red shrimp colony in this tank right here that was living with my wolf. I did save a cool amount of them though, and I have them in this tank, I have them in this tank, and I also have them in that tank right there, and I have a good amount in this bucket. But in this tank right here, where the old wolf used to live, is just the rice fish, if you can focus, and then the rasboras and all the fish that we stuffed in this tank right here. I went ahead and upgraded them to this bigger tank, and they're just kind of roaming around doing what they need to do, and the rice fish is breeding. So they're technically not breeding in this tank yet. They bred in this tank before I moved them in here, and the eggs hatched while the parents were gone. So I didn't really pay attention to this tank too much because I was focused on the Bichirs and all that stuff, but as you can see, a lot of baby fish started to spawn after I moved the parents away from this tank. So I think there's about 10 of them in here. There could be more, they could be in these plants and stuff, but out in the open there's only 10, and I'm just feeding them crushed like pellet foods and all that stuff. And yeah, they're just kind of chilling in this tank. I was gonna move them in here, but they seem to be doing fine in here, and I don't know if there's gonna be more, so I just left it like this. You might be thinking the hang-on filter is kind of bad for those fish. It might be, but what's good for me is a lot of the plant debris, it loosened itself from the gravel or the substrate like this, and it got stuck on the filter, so it's providing a natural cover on the intake, and I'm hoping that the fish will stay away from that. Yeah, man, there's a lot of baby fish in here, and I'm really excited for that. Honestly, I hope it's the rice fish. It might be the rasboras, who knows? We're just gonna have to wait and see when they grow older, but yeah, man, all the parents are in here chilling, and hopefully the parents will spawn more fish in this tank right here. Now, a lot of people ask me about this fish right here and how it's doing, and this is the gopher catfish, just chilling in the little cave. And yeah, it eats. It's the only fish that ate during the whole move. And yeah, I have no doubts that it's gonna keep chilling. During the heat wave though, if you don't know, last week or the week before, we had a huge heat wave, and in here it got to like 100 degrees. But we had fans and air stones and all that good stuff, and we were able to kind of keep the temperature at a cool level. And yeah, I was really worried about losing this guy, but yeah, he's doing pretty good. The tank's a little bit too clear. Before, it used to live in tannin-filled waters, so I have a lot of Indian almond leaves right now in this tank. Just trying to release as much tannins as possible because this guy right here is a black water fish. So it might be a little bit stressed because the water is different than how I raised it, but yeah, eventually after all the tannin gets released from these leaves, I just imagine them being a little bit more chill. At the old location, it was so chill that it would sleep upside down and do all these funny catfish stuff, but now he's all business, just waiting for food like this all the time. The filtration system is still the same. I'm thinking about converting this tank to a K1 bottle or something like that, but yeah, filtration system is still the same. I still have the, what's this? Bauhaus. I still have the Fluval Biomax, some Eheim Substrate Pro, I think, and then 2 sponges here for mechanical filtration, and I still have the Higer media that's inside here, but I can't really see it right now. So it's a 4-stage filtration system just for this gopher catfish right here. Oh, dang, look at this. Chilling, bruh. Chilling. Now I just gotta wait for it not to be super hot because in here it's still kind of warm, man, so it's not as comfortable as I want it to be. So yeah, it feels like I went over all the tanks super quick, but a lot of the aquariums are still kind of the same when it comes to moving them from the first location to this location. So there isn't too many new updates and all that stuff. No new fish because I was just focused on the ones I had. And yeah, like just like this tank, it's all the same. This tank is pretty much the same. It just has less Bichirs and a wolf. And then this tank right here is, I guess that's the newest, like biggest update right here. Dude, look, bruh. I used to dream about having like a little spot like this. Compared to where we were at before in the old garage, that sucked. The reason why it sucked is because I had to line the fish up along the wall because I needed to park my vehicle in the garage. So I lined all the aquariums up on the side of the wall, and plus that was my parents' house, so I couldn't do crazy stuff like this. But actually having a spot for the fish is really nice. It makes me want to just sell everything and just get a huge 300 gallon and just line it up back there. That might be in the future, who knows. Alright, so that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I just want to show you guys the updated fish section, which is definitely a huge upgrade compared to the old fish section, which is just a wall. So yeah, man, I'm just really glad to actually show you guys this because this was a video that was a long time coming. This is pretty sick. Look at this guy. This is probably one of the happiest fish I have because it literally went from a small, like 40 breeder to you know, chilling in a huge tank and messing with my other fish. So that's pretty much it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next one. And peace, guys.